welcome. We are so excited. This is episode 18 of Stall Talk. Stall Talk's a little show we do every Tuesday, and we have a really cool guest today. I've waited for so long for this week so that we could coordinate with her schedule. I want to take you back to November, Waco, Texas, WPRA finals. It was so cold. It rained. We had a huge drought in Texas, pretty much, the whole summer, and big hay shortage. Well, it seems like the heavens just opened up and it all poured down on Waco, Texas that weekend of WPRA finals. And the bubbliest barrel racer in the WPRA made my whole week. It didn't matter that it was cold. It didn't matter that it was pouring down rain and we were all freezing. I was walking back up this huge corridor to the alley. We were getting ready to produce the top 15 challenge. And I thought, I should take an opportunity to interview some of these barrel racers. What a godsend. I run smack into Pascal Sylvain, and you had just made your run. So you were in the finals. You made it to the short go of the permit race, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you had just come barreling down the alley, stopped your horse, stepped off, and I threw a microphone right in front of your face. And that was the first time I really got to, I guess, engage with you up close and learn about you and hear a little bit about your story. And I was like, wow, what have I been missing out on all of this time? So I'm so excited you're here. Pascal Sylvain and my co-host, Martin Patella of lifeenthusiast.com, our moderator, Lori Roth, and we've got some interactive members here from Stall High. Welcome, everybody. Pascal, have you always been so bubbly? How do you do it?
I think yes, I've been always positive, but I feel it's something I remember, like when I'm 33. So when I was in my early 20s, it's something I really want to change because I was negative and stuff. And when I did that mental change, God opened me so many doors in life, and and now it's the way to go for me. It's not fake. It's just like you get through all the worst day of your life, so you can go through what's going on right now. It's not going to be easy, but you can go through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you make it look easy.
It's not.
I think if for people who just meet you or they get to see you, as a passerby at a rodeo or a barrel race or at one of your jewelry events, they might think, oh, well, like I could never be like her. Like she must have been born that way. She's so outgoing and she's so positive and so optimistic. Were you aware that you were negative, or did something happen to point that out?
I think I was just in point of my life. I believe you belong somewhere in life. Okay. So I'm born and raised in Canada, Quebec, French. It's the accent. And I was working as a social worker there for child services for 3 years. I have my bachelor degrees. I thought everything in my life was lined up, all by the book thing. But I was not very happy till I decided to say, you know what? I always wanted to come at least 6 months in Texas, come ride some horses, learn the lifestyle and everything, because I always been in the battle horse industry-ish, but like not like those are what we have here, but like in my head I thought. And I did it, and I just persevered through that goal. And I find out that every time I was positive, it was bringing me more positive thing than when I've been negative, bring me negative thing.
So just real quick, you said I was in the barrel industry-ish. It's not the same. So for people who haven't had an opportunity to come to the States or come to Texas, because you live in a hot spot for rodeo.
Yeah.
How is it different?
Well, so also the thing people need to understand, I'm from Quebec, which we have decent amount of rodeo, but I was for northern region where we have 3 rodeos and some play days. But after that, the closest one was always 8 hours drive, like the closest, if you wanted to do any circuit of any kind. So that's why, and also the knowledge, the people been here, like what I see is people been touching horses since they're little and did like a bit of this and a bit of that. Us, it was bar racing, or that's it, that's all. And the only knowledge, because this is before internet, like when I was teenager, internet started, but like book for Marta Juicy, that's all the knowledge we have access back then. And we had fun and everything, but I did learn a lot when I decided to come here.
Is the competition the same?
We do have good, decent horses, but I would say the amount of, like, of course, I think, I don't want to be bragging, but I think Texas is the place to be. It's a hot spot, like you said. But we do have some decent horses, but the quantity, like, look at like a jackpot, like yesterday in Kibi, like how many is in the 1D next to NFR qualifier? Like, it's, the competition is here and it's stronger, but I always say you need to hang with the best if you want to be the best. So that's what I did.
All right. So when was your first WPRA entry? When did you decide I'm going to do this? I'm going to buy my WPRA permit and I'm going to go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to do a short story. So I have a horse for 2 years and I have a lot of issue. And in March 2022, I broke my femur, my legs. And after that, I still tried with her, but it was just the end of our road together, right? And I said, I need to buy a horse. I'm going to just have fun with it. That was my whole goal. I just want to have fun and like be competitive-ish, but like I knew I didn't have the money to buy a 1D per rodeo finish horse. Like, so I find my little Devon and I love the stockyard. The stockyard is for me the closest rodeo of Quebec, because in Quebec, people in the rodeo are, it's festive. Like people, I love it. You have a little bit to drink and the party, and it's like here it's a little bit more quiet. But the stockyard is the closest of my hometown. You know, I'm like, oh, I feel home for a second. So I go to the stockyard all the time. And I brought my little Devon. Any second rodeo there, he won. I think it was the second and the third time I go there. I'm not sure, but we won the rodeo. I was lucky. Not much people was there, but I still won it. So I was like, well, I always dreamed to rodeo. So I talked to one of my good friend, he do per rodeo, he calf rope, but he very helped me because I was debating between using UPRA or do a PRA. He said, well, if your dream is to do a PRA in the long term, you need to start to learn now how it works, because it's a lot of learning. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I say, who cares what people say? So I buy my card in September for 2023. And my first pro rodeo was the first one. It was in Bowie, Texas. For answering your question.
Wow. And so how did it go in Bowie? Were you excited to be there, or did you have reservations thinking, because a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome. I shouldn't be here. I'm not ready yet. What was it? What did it feel like for you?
So I actually did a TikTok about this driving there, and I started to cry and say, I always dreamed to pro rodeo, like for a long, long, long time. And I say, I'm doing it now. Like it's the day. And weirdly, I felt again the feeling I belong. Like when the first time I put my feet in Texas, I felt like I have that strong feeling it's where I belong. And I was like, oh, I feel like it's where I belong. And I said, we're gonna do the best. It's just another run. And we were in the slack, and it was the first time I ran him outdoor. And I was like, I'm sure it's fine. And he was decent. We were like 27.8 from the fastest run that day. So I was very satisfied with that, because it was so much. I didn't even know how you react with the shoot and like all that. I just throw it to the wolf, you know? And yeah, it was great. And I work very hard for my business and build what I have. And it's why I try to erase that syndrome, imposter syndrome, and say, no, you belong, you work hard to be here. In different ways maybe, but you still work hard.
Okay, so I'm curious, like if we can get to the root of your positivity, and I'm going to include Martin here. So my co-host is Martin Patella. He is founder of lifeenthusiast.com. I love having you on every week, Martin, because you bring a level of expertise and connecting the mind and the muscles and our health. Does this sound like a spiritual root to you? What's the foundation? What is there anything else going on that leads to this? What are your initial thoughts, Martin?
My number one thought is my memory of being in Montreal. I was I was young then, 1977, 77. Anyway, I'm talking to people, just service people, secretary of an office or whatever, and I'm thinking they're coming on to me. And I just thought that, oh my gosh, these women are all over me. What's up? And then I realized, no, it's the culture. They are just friendly. They're warm. They just are welcoming. They just are, yeah, just
Lovely.
not reserved. They just put themselves out there for you.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
So is
that's
that
how I perceived the Quebecois, the French culture. They were just embracing everyone, right? So
Okay.
I find that when Pascal talks about her positivity, I think it comes to her from the culture. I think it's that the people in Quebec in general are warmer than others. Like I had the opposite experience in New York, where I'm walking down the street and it's like elbow in the side and get the F out of my way, and just totally selfish, self-centered, as opposed to the flip of out there for you experience.
Okay, Pascal, rub off on me, please. Rub off on all of us. We want some of that.
So that was my experience of the culture. I think the society, how they raise you, will have something to do with it. And you've discovered it with horses, how you train them, right? You get back what you put in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think with children, it's the same thing, right? If you get nurture and care, you will be self-assured more so than other ways. I mean, you can have negative experiences, especially when you hit high school. You will come into this terrain where it becomes very competitive and very negative, especially for Pascal's generation. I mean, this growing up with Facebook and whatever else on the phone, it has to be the hardest thing possible,
Mhm.
right?
And Pascal, you mentioned that Cowtown was the closest reflection of your home environment. So do you feel like your culture helped prepare you for success?
Um,
I would
one
say
thing
just
I
for
can
giving, just for giving, not for success. That has not much to
Okay.
do with it.
Putting
But
yourself out there.
that's a
how
weak
you
way.
approach people is that you approach them with essentially your heart in your hand, as opposed to with a whole lot of armor.
Yeah. I trust, like, and that makes total sense, because I try to give the benefit of the doubt that everybody have good in them. Of course, I'm going to protect myself in a way, but like I try to think everybody think positive all the time. I guess that makes total sense. I'm agree with this.
Yeah.
We
I
want you
grew up in a household with my father who was as negative as you can be. He always pointed at people and saying, you watch, he's going to steal something, or he's going to fail, or whatever, right? And of course, every one of us will have a bad day. We will either be caught in a little lie that we'll try to fix with a bigger lie, or whatever it is that will do wrong instead of doing right.
Yeah.
And so he would always just wait for someone to fail, say, see, I told you.
Yeah. That
and
makes
it's
sense.
hard. It's hard to get out of a negative rut. So Martin, you talked about that before, like the mental rut that we can get in. So
Yeah.
Pascal, I do applaud you for making a decision to get out of whatever rut you were in, and not just changing your mindset. You changed everything. You changed your location, your lifestyle,
My
your
language.
employment.
I didn't speak English when I came here.
I mean, we don't have any excuses anymore after we get to know you and see you. And I just want you to distribute your joy where you go. Like, take Cowtown with you. Make every
And
place Cowtown.
On this line of subject is something is very important. Like something in me, I struggle, and now I give me forgiveness, and I hope I can give that message out. It's like sometimes I'm like, well, I'm too old, or I started too old, or blah blah blah. When I don't think age is a factor. It's if you want to do it now, because we have one chance on this earth. So either you do it now, at age whatever you are, and then you'd never do it, and like the business I started, like I was like very serious. I was in my 30s, and pro rodeo, I'm 33. I just got my permit. It's not even fill up yet. Hopefully soon, but it's still not fill up. So it's age, it's if you really want to do it, just go for it. That's all I have to say about that very strongly.
Well, was there a spiritual, like a defining moment that impacted your decision to make a change? Because you're very open about, you're very transparent about faith. You believe in God, you profess your faith in God. And was there a defining moment that, is there a spiritual foundation? Let's talk a little bit about that. How much does faith factor in for you?
I grew up so we're Catholic back home. So we used to go to church a lot, and I did believe, not believing, but the connection with faith for a long time. Here it's stronger, and the way y'all see the faith is, for me, connect more with who I am Catholic. It's like, it's this or that, or like it's more sin, and it's more always negative for me, the way I experience it anyways. And here I love how we, like Cowboy Church example, how we talk about God. And I remember one thing was very marking for me. It's when I went to a funeral here. It was so different. And us, it's like, again, by the book, it's always the same thing. Whoever is there, and you just put the name of the person, that's unpersonal. And this, when I came here and I see how personal it is, and how you can be personal in your faith here, I should talk about it. Yeah. It's where I recreate my connection with God. And I also have a accident, like I should probably, like I've been lucky, I wasn't with my truck, and I stay alive. And it's where, for me, was like, okay, God is real, and God want me here. What you gonna do with your life? And you need to stop losing your time, because I was in the past of a lot of struggle. And it's where I just pick up all the pieces, and I went strong. And I never stopped working every day for my goal since that accident. And it's where, and I was like, God wants you here. What you gonna do with that life? You gonna waste it, or you gonna keep going what you want to do? But you need to work, you need to put stuff in place. Not people that look my life, they see how as a business go well, and she pro rodeo, and yeah, she buy a horse, and it looks so much fun. But I struggled, and I worked very, very hard for years. Like I worked at the casino after that for 90 days straight, just to be able to buy a truck, to pull my horse trailer. Like I bet, and it's okay. It was a part of my journey, and I want nobody to take pity of it, but just think about the goal. And now I embrace the journey too, because this makes me who I am right now. I can smile, and I go to that WPRA final, and then my horse trip, actually, when you saw me, and I was still smiling, because I was like, hey, I'm here. Like, what's the chances that, like, if I would have not worked hard, I would have never been stepping in.
I'd like to
last March. That is remarkable. Go ahead, Martin.
I'd like to plug in the story of the transplant, of the immigrant.
Okay.
When you take yourself out of your culture, wherever you grew up, whatever you were, because you want something, you go after what you want. You go for better. You come with a lot of energy, because you gave up all the stuff that made you what you are, and you're transplanting yourself someplace new. And you need to work probably a lot harder than others. But at the same time, once you get this going, it's like a momentum, right? Like you just start having to build. And I mean, the story is replicated a million times. You hear it from all over. Immigrants and children of immigrants tend to do better than the people who grew up in the town.
Aha. Well,
because they have a lot to accomplish and a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting to see, just in the barrel racing industry, because I've watched for several generations now, kids who are raised in it and born and rooted in the industry with every advantage and every opportunity to be a champion. Sometimes it's harder for them. It's easier for someone who didn't grow up with that foundation to step in, because they have fresh eyes. They're not under the status quo is hard. And they do have to work harder to fit in because Pascal, I think you'll agree, it can be clicky.
Yep.
Like you
I
can
And
think
feel
the ones that are in it are taking it for granted.
sometimes. I believe that is very much true. And it's the status quo that's not working for us. Well, number one, we're not always willing to look and see and admit that it's not working. And if it's working like right now at this level, why change? So I think it's really hard to unlearn, to take responsibility and unlearn things. Whereas somebody who steps in new for the first time, they don't have the struggle of unlearning the wrong ways. You can step in and start fresh. So Pascal, Martin talked about momentum. Once you get going and once this momentum builds, when you had that accident and you seemed to have like an awakening of your faith, how long did it take before you started seeing results of your transition, of either your prayer or your mental mindset? When did you start to notice that it was working?
so. I talked with someone very close to me, and because I told her, why am I not dead, blah, 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 stuff like that. And she already talked hard to me. And that conversation, and the same day, like the 24 hours, I feel like, and I finally say, I told myself, God wants you here. And I get up and I work to get out of the situation I was stuck in, build back what I have. And it went pretty fast. And every little reward, like you see, hey, I saved that, like I have a goal, like I make a plan. And with the I have hand goals, like I have goals, still so many, but every goal have a little plan and a little step-by-step thing and a big award and a step-by-step thing, like everything go by step. And it's how I work it. Like I was looking at I still look at those big goals I see in my future, but I go step by step. You cannot go there to there.
Did you have someone mentor you? Did you have, like, how did you know to break it down into little steps and treat it, as obtainable goals, so you didn't get lost in the weeds, so to speak?
I watch a lot of podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts, YouTube, self-development. Not all the time. It's a by period, and this really helped me in experience. And a lot of people influence me in a way. I don't have one specific I can name right now, but in a meaning, I didn't do it by myself though. It's not what I want people to think, but it was like an influence of a lot of people at the same time.
Let's talk about finance.
Yeah.
People want to know how do they get to where you are? You talk about this horse. Now, you mentioned before you started telling us about Devin, that's the gray horse we see you on, right? Okay. You mentioned I didn't have money to go buy a 1D finished horse, but then bam, you start winning right away.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I got lucky on this one. I want the people know I got lucky on that find because he was not advertised as is. He was advertised for the price I paid for. He was a good horse, and I know I have a lot of my friends or people I know say, I wish I could find a Devin. I got lucky. I want to put this out there, and they are there though. I have also one of my friend Pedro Borges is from Brazil, but we used to work horses together, and he helped me to find. If you say mentor of horses, I do have a plenty. Like they help me with skill. Every run I send them around what you think. So this I truly believe you need mentoring the horse, like especially like I'm okay, but I'm not the best rider. And like, how can I change this and this? Do what we have with what you have. But financially, before your question, it started with the casino, and I have my side hustle. And after that, the jewelry. And after that, I just grow the jewelry. And I knew because I worked 3 years for a world champion here. So I was in the industry in a way, in futurity. And I saw those rich kids having all the money in the world and do nothing with that. Like they could have went everywhere. The parents was ready to pay. Some did, but some, it was so ended to them that didn't take the chance, or maybe it was not what they wanted to do, and it's okay. But I was like, okay, I know I'm never going to have that kind of money handing to me. So what else can I do? You need to build something that's going to bring you the money to do what you want to do, because horses ain't cheap. Like, we know that. Like, just keeping it at the place, I'm not saying even buying one, I'm just like keeping it in shape, go to the vet and all those things. It's expensive.
Right.
But you make it work. When you really want it, I think you can make it work.
What made you decide jewelry? Which, by the way, every time you put your hand near the camera, I'm like, ooh, just sing, because I'm a huge turquoise fan. So what made you choose jewelry, and specifically turquoise?
So I started 2012 in Canada. When I finished my degrees, I even started a master, but it was not, because in the winter you can do nothing. You cannot ride your horse. Where I was, we didn't have cover arena. Like, it was the horses in outside and surviving in the winter. And I was like, God, this is long. And I was done with school. So I was like, I always love it. Fashion, like looking fancy or too much over the top. This is me. Like, I assume myself. And I started for fun to do jewelry, and I was looking everybody in the US and Texas style jewelry, because we have nothing then there. eBay was the only place you could buy stuff back then, like in 2012. So I started to do that. And when I came here, I always did it for helping. And my style of jewelry very involved. And I started to work. I was so scared to start to work with turquoise, because it's a more expensive stone to work with, than I used to work with sea beads, which is like glass beads. It's like, you can buy it for Hobby Lobby for $1.99. You know what I mean? So I trust the process and started, and people, it's where they hey, we like what you do. And I work a lot with this. And I don't know, maybe in 5 years, my style's going to change. I strongly believe I can do it though, because in 10 years I do that. So my style evolve all the time. So yeah.
Where did you start selling originally?
So Facebook back then, Facebook page was fun back then. It was easy to manage. After that, they block us. So like, we need to pay to be there. So I follow everything. I have Facebook group, my Instagram, Etsy. It was my first real platform. Create a website, create a wholesale website. I'm on Faire. And now TikTok. I'm a content creator now. You need to, when you sell online now, you need to be 50-50, like create the content and make the content, And yeah, Pinterest, being all social media as you can think about them, they're probably there.
When do you sleep?
I sleep. I don't have kids and I don't have a husband. So I am not perfect and my house is a mess. So
what is your horse schedule look like then? Because you've already talked about your schedule, which is pretty insane, just keeping up with the rapid growth of, how do you pronounce your business name?
The Bijou Fab. So
The
bijou, jewelry in French.
Okay.
Jewelry. I can't even say jewelry, right?
Bijou Fab. It's amazing. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy for the rapid growth. You were just at WESA. You were just at Dallas Market with your own brand and your booth, and it was just decorated beautiful. And you were there, and we walked by. You didn't even have time to really talk because there were so many people there.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. I have a lot of people that love their brand, love the personality, I guess, the bubbly thing, and
love you. That's why we want to support you. That's why we want something that you create, so that it'll rub off on us, right? And I saw your post about wanting now to be in National Roper Supply, NRS, which I think is
by the way,
on their part.
Yes, they DM me on TikTok, so my trick worked. I was like, this is a smart idea.
Smart girl. All right. So you reached out. Tell us about that. People may not know the story, and they may be like, how did she get NRS to pay attention to her?
So I saw that TikTok that people want to be represented by a brand, a TikTok trend once again. And I was like, oh, I could do that and say, it says like day one, trying to have NRS noticing me. And it was day one yesterday. And I have like only 1,000 views, but I have so many people that say, because when you're in the industry of wholesale, like I am, you make a lot of friends in the wholesale that know who buy from. So I have a couple of those that contact the buyer from NRS. I have friends that knew who work at NRS, and it just and NRS sent me a DM and asked for more information, which I did, and finger crossed, but at least my feet, like they know who I am now and they follow me.
Well, we're excited for you. The last time I was at NRS, I think I took, Lori, how many hats did I take that day? Like 9 hats to NRS?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we took 9 hats to get reshaped and spruced up before the national finals because my favorite hat shaper in the world now works at NRS, Chance Foster. He's been shaping my hat since he was a teenager. And they're so blessed to have him. And I know they're going to be blessed to have your brand in that store as well. So I'm excited for you. I will be praying that all goes well. I'm curious if you'll get to meet with my friend Brooke Birch, who works on location in the Decatur store, and she is precious. She's awesome. I think you girls are going to really like hit it off and click. So that's exciting. So we talked about financing. We talked about the momentum when you started seeing a difference, how you started selling things. You didn't have this handed to you. You went and worked at a casino. Did you want to work at the casino? I'm curious.
Also, I have 3 jobs at the beginning. I was doing the jury. I was working at a steakhouse in Gainesville, which have, if we were lucky, 5 customers at lunchtime, and the casino. Like I have fun in the casino. I don't want to spit on it. Like I don't want to be like over it. I have fun. I met a lot of good people, but it was not my crowd and my kind of, I'm not working in a cigarette smoke and all that. It's not me, but I was like, it's been good to me, and I don't want to talk bad about it. They've been good to me.
Well,
But I was happy to not go back.
I love those stories. In the first top 15 challenge we did year before last, we interviewed Seth Roy. He announces the All In Barrel Race, Seth Roy Voice Productions. And he told the story about 2020 when all rodeos shut down and every event that he had booked for his voice as a professional announcer shut down. Well, what was he going to do? I think he had just gotten engaged to Courtney. He was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, he had to get a job for a while in the interim. Did he want to do it? No. Was that his choice? No, it was not. But he told that story about how he was willing to do it because he didn't want to let go of his dream. Mm-hmm. He had to hold the gap. He had to make it happen and hold things together until rodeos kicked up again. And I don't know, you did mention some kids that just don't take advantage of the opportunity, where you see other people who would just love to have an opportunity. I think some of us just feel stalled. For me, I didn't realize I was as negative as I was until somebody pointed it out, Pascal. When I was in college, I vividly remember my friends getting on to me. I was apparently in a foul mood. It was such a behavioral routine for me. I really didn't know it until one of my best friends spoke up and said, we love you to death, but you're getting on our nerves. So either knock it off right now or we're going without you. Oh,
but those are real friends.
Yes. And I'm so glad that she just kind of snapped me out of it and helped me step back and reflect how I was thinking, what I was saying, why was I stuck in a negative loop anyway? And that was a really pivotal moment for me in my early 20s. That's when my own faith kind of came to fruition. I didn't really have faith before then. I had religion. I'd been exposed to religion. You grew up in a Catholic environment. I grew up in a Southern Baptist environment. Martin, I don't know if you've told me about your upbringing, faith, spiritual.
I grew up in a police state behind the Iron Curtain, where the religion was the communism. The church was banned, it was bad, and yet, believe it or not, I ended up growing up studying Buddhism, yoga, I grew up, I mean, my mom is a Holocaust survivor, Jewish.
Oh.
And but she was so mad at her God for having put the entire race through that she wanted to have nothing to do with it. And
Mm,
yet in her childhood, she was, she was part of the Zionist childhood movement and whatever.
mhm.
That whole thing just beat it out of her. Anyway, so what could I tell you about this? I was raised in scientism, the religion of science,
Mhm.
which I totally reject.
Why do you reject it, Martin?
Well, you see, religion is what's left after spirituality leaves the room.
Say that again, please.
Well, religion is based on rituals. And Pascal talked about that. The Catholic Church is really big on rituals. They have established their, the mass is done this way, and you stand up, you say this, you sit down, then you da 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 da. It's like a rock concert where the audience sings with the rock star, except it's prescripted.
Mhm.
And there's very little spirituality itself within it. You don't get closer to God. You just simply do your ritual with your neighbors.
Mm.
Nailed it.
So was it your health journey, Martin, that changed things for you?
No. I don't know. I'm not from this world, I'm just passing through.
Well, we're glad that you're sharing your time with us.
Yeah, no worries that. I wouldn't say, well, that the health journey, I mean, all breakdowns, I would say, all challenges, all difficulties are there to teach us something. When it gets tough, we need to evaluate why as opposed to how.
Okay, now we're getting into the really thick stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the why.
As to how, and that, quite frankly, that's our mission. That's our heart at Stall High, and through the mentor program, and through having Stall Talk every Tuesday, and awesome guests who come on and share, their life's work, what they're passionate about. We want answers. When you don't have answers, there's a passage in the Bible, there's a scripture that says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." That's when we get stuck, because we don't know what to do next. And instead of asking why, like Martin just referenced, we ask, how come? Like, why
Why-
me or why not
yeah.
me? But we don't really
Why me instead of why not me?
Yes, we don't really give the time or the energy to start peeling back those layers, because we think that's going to take too much work. I want the express. I want microwave success. Well, microwave success doesn't go anywhere. It stays in a box. It typically doesn't get very far,
Mhm.
and the flavor's not as good.
Yeah.
So, Pascal, I'm proud of you for working hard for your dream. Lori, do you have anything to input on this conversation? You've been in the background this week, been really quiet.
Well, yes. So I think what he just said hits the nail on the head. That people, instead of asking why me, which is what we all have a natural tendency to do, that's a really good new and challenging thing to get yourself to, is to ask, why not me? I believe you're right. When you go through challenges and tough spots, my personal belief is that most of the time it is to build us up, right? To build our strength, build our resilience, teach us new things that are going to propel us into what we're supposed to be doing. And I think if you really, if you can get yourself to avoid throwing your hands in the air, but take a step back, take a, like you say, the 30,000-foot view and ask, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Why is this happening? What caused this? How can I grow and do better? I think that's where it's at. So asking why not me seems like a really far out there idea, but I think that's a great way to put it.
And
Yeah.
knowledge is empowering. So when we do find answers, let's just take here every week, Tuesday for an hour, we put our heads together, we have a meeting of the minds, and we all walk away with something new. So we've all empowered ourselves by investing a few minutes, 60 minutes. And you would be amazed. I heard a story the other day, and this is really impressive to me, and I feel like I can relate in some way. It told a story about an entrepreneur that, I think he was a dentist, actually. He went to a conference in Japan, if I remember the story correctly. He listened to one technique. It was not his technique. It wasn't new to the world, but he brought it back to the States and he started incorporating it. And it caught on like wildfire. He had people flying from all over the country just to see him for this one procedure. And so that one conference, that one investment of one trip changed the trajectory of his life and his business, and like things started to happen for him. For me, it was one conference. One conference. I got so rocked and so challenged in my faith and the way I was going about presenting my faith to the world and what I was doing about business. Of all things, it was a conference on entrepreneurship for believers. So kingdom and entrepreneurship. And it really made me stop, pull back, and just rethink, why am I doing things this way? What's working? What's not? And what do I really want to accomplish when it's all said and done? Pascal, I love that you said that. I'm ahead of you, my dear, on the birthdays, on the birthday list. And you said you're not getting any older, neither am I. Make it happen. Don't accept the stall, guys. How can we help you? Stall High exists to help you rethink the way you're doing it now. And if we just help you take one baby step out of that stall, wherever you feel stuck or stifled, that's what this whole community exists for. Pascal, do you have any closing thoughts you want to share before we?
Something that he said about why not me, like we talked a little bit in the more negative thing, but in the positive thing, if it resonates to me, is like, why not me going to do a PRA, doing stuff, or why not me having my business, and why not you, whatever, and then sir, whatever you want to do in your life there. It's vice versa too. It hit me very hard when you say that. So I appreciate that, because I remember I said that to me, hey, why not me? When I win my first check for rodeo, I was like, why not me? Like, I did it. Like, why not me? So yeah.
How did you celebrate when you won your first WPRA money? What'd you do with it?
Oh my God. But it was not that much. And I'm a little bit crazy about the vet. So I went on the vet bill stuff.
And that's part of it,
Yeah, I want my friend, Devin is my horse, he's my friend. I want him to feel good. Like, I ask so much for him. I need to make sure I put everything in place for him to feel good.
Is there anything special that you do to keep yourself healthy? That's my last question.
That's my challenge that I am struggling with my own. Like, I know what to do to be healthy and do all that. And I think you need to love who you are as you are, but you need to also make the best version of yourself. And it's where I'm stuck, me, and I need to work on, because I work so hard on the business and everything, and it's excuses, but that's my challenge. We all have challenge. I'm not perfect, and I have my own demon, and that's mine. And that's why I'm working on right now.
That's what I help people with. I teach that.
Yeah,
and,
well, I need to talk to you.
And it's an interesting thing is what happens is that the culture that you grow up with could be wrong for you. So when you learned about food, it could be mismatched with your genetics. And then when you transplant yourself into this new terrain, again, the society offers shortcuts. Businesses in general sell you things that are the easy buttons. They are the easiest things to get, but they're seldom the right thing. You know, it's like the easy road is seldom the right road.
Yeah.
And the easy meal is not the healthy one. And, you know, the bag of chips that you can grab in a store on your way, so you can eat that on the way in the truck, is probably not contributing to health, right? And stuff like that. And so it will take preparation. My favorite teacher of personal development was Stephen Covey. And in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Efficient People, or Effective People, one of those things he said was always begin with the end in mind. So it's sort of visualize yourself on the other side of the river being the whatever's between you and where you want to be, and then build your bridge back, like in your mind, right? What are the steps I have to go through before I am like that? So, for example, if you want to be like slim like Kendra, you need to be asking Kendra, what does she do in her life? And you can emulate that, right? Like you can be, oh, what does she do? Oh, well, I'll do that. As
And
opposed to whatever doesn't support you. But then Kendra got her nose rubbed in her negativity, right? What did she need to learn about her mental states? Like we talk about that too, right? Acid versus alkaline. The overly acidic person gets a lot done, but is not so pleasant to be around. The more alkaline person is very friendly, jovial, and bubbly, but tends to be having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. Things like, I mean, we can manage that. Food can manage that. Supplements can manage that. And of course, we can manage it in our approach, right? The self-talk, what we say to ourselves, the words, thoughts become actions, actions become habits, habits become character. All of this matters. You
Thought-
broke your pattern and became something that you wanted to be, right? Kendra talks about that. She broke her pattern and she became somebody else other than who she was. Like, you know, she was heading in this direction and then, oh, no, we'll change. We can be somebody else.
yeah,
We all have that choice.
yeah, my culture, the way I was raised, I was heading in a direction I didn't want to end up. I didn't know how to get where I wanted to be. Did I really think it was possible? No, that's where faith factored in for me. But it is, knowledge is definitely power. The more I enjoy the learning process, the more answers I find and the more things that click and fit together. My mind's always thinking about my horses. Ooh, that's going to help me with my horse. Oh, that makes sense with how I used to feel with this horse. And I can't go back to that horse that I didn't understand at the time, but I can apply that right now to this horse that I have today. And I can be a better steward of my horses today. I can be a better steward of my opportunities today. Is my body older now than it was? Yes. We talked about that last night. Lori Herr in the interactive group. We're cognizant of that. So we have to make adjustments. We have to make sure that, like you said, Martin, prepare accordingly. Where's the end goal? That's why we're part of Stall High. Let's reflect on that. Pascal said she has like a little box, a little checklist. Okay, this is what it's going to take to get this step done. Don't try to get too much done in too early a time. Just those little baby steps, Pascal, and then things are going better than expected.
Yeah, I want to butt in with this. There's a huge value in mentors, and coaches. And if you're lucky enough to meet somebody who can show you the way through either an example or guidance or whatever, then it just happens organically, like you just won the lottery. But sometimes you just meet somebody like Kendra who actually is making it her business, helping people with this particular thing. But it's never about the thing. It's about who you are as you're doing the thing.
Yes. And
It's the
talking about,
character that determines the way you're going to do it.
yes, and you really kind of threw me for a loop last week, Martin, when you said people that have their right hip presents high and forward, don't love themselves. Excuse me, come again, let me check my hips. Well,
It's not, I didn't say it quite like that. I said it's the feeling of I'm not good enough that does that.
okay. Well, that really had me thinking all week.
Okay.
What are the mental reasons? And Pascal, the audiobook that I've been listening to, this makes me think of you. Who we want to be, like visualize that. Where do you want to be in 5 to 7 years? See that, replay that in your mind. Like you said, build the bridge backwards. He also made an interesting statement, and Martin, I'm curious if you'll agree with this. People who are positive and people who are engaged, they are actively working toward their goals and their dreams coming to fruition. They tend to be physically healthier than those who are not.
I have an analogy to that, which is this. Happiness is found in a pursuit of a worthy goal. And happy people tend to be healthier than the unhappy ones.
Mhm.
Negativity is projected onto the immune system. Fear suppresses repairs and health.
Mhm.
So when you're in the positive frame of mind, which happiness is, and it's found in a pursuit of a worthy goal, then number one, you need to have a goal. Number two, you need to have a commitment to pursuing it. Then the health will follow you there because you will be motivated to be healthy. So
Okay, Pascal,
think big.
what's the goal? Is it Globe Life Field, Teton Ridge, the American Rodeo? Is it the national finals? What is the end goal for you and your horses?
So I'm the manifest, like talking about what we want and see. I believe in that 100% what y'all were talking. But I'm still a little bit scared to say out loud the final big goal, because I believe in me, but not so much. But my goal this year would be to get the second horse for a bigger pattern, to keep going on Texas circuit. After that, I would like to do the circuit final-ish. I don't know when, maybe. And after that, I would like to do, and if like all the rodeo and in America, like trying harder and see where it goes.
Well, Martin just mentioned the value of a mentor and a coach. It just so happens that Matt Reeves coaches for us every Monday night in Stall High, and he's our mentor on Mondays. Well, I'm personally committing 2023 to start heading in that direction. What do I need to do to get ready so that I can capitalize on Matt's plan? He has a strategy for making the finals, qualifying for the national finals the first 6 weeks of the season, Pascal.
I saw this.
You don't have to run all over the nation for 11 months. Now you got to be ginning. You and your horse have to be clicking when that new season opens, but he can help you enter strategically so that you're ready. And I know that's not a magic wand. I need to start like now. I started, well, really before the finals. I was wrapping my head around and saying, this is my commitment for 2023. Will I get back in the top 50?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to be closer than if I don't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. The closer you get to top 50, and I think after that you can have that strategy to like less rodeo is better for you and the horse for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Amen, sis.
Like
Yeah.
in the pocket and the financial thing too. You can buy another one and go do some ruby buckle or something else.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I know you've got a lot on your plate, a lot of jewelry to make.
Yes.
And bijoufob.com.
Yes. Yes, for retail, yes. And if you know someone that owns a store like NRS, we also have close to 3,000 store that carry our brand now.
Woo, that's fantastic.
Yes,
Well,
thank-
I'm really, really excited for you. You're welcome to come be a part of our mentorship class. If you want to show up on Monday and just listen to Matt and ask him questions like, where do I need to be entering this spring so that I can get into the top 50? He will help you like per month, per 6 weeks. Like that is his specialty. That's his expertise. And that's what he shares at Stall High. So we'd love to have you be a part of that.
that would be fun. I'm gonna ask for the information. I'm gonna join y'all.
All right, we'll make it happen. Excited to have you be a
Just-
part. Martin,
Just to
thank
give you a
so much.
chance to plug me, we do
Oh.
that for health of people. We do coaching. We have a roadmap for getting from wherever you are to where you might like to be. And we can help people get there. It's just
There-
they need to engage. That's what it takes.
There's the parallel. Yeah, make the decision to start doing something. It's not hard. You just have to be consistent. life-enthusiast.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Life Enthusiast, for sponsoring Stall Talk. You're making this possible as well so that we can reach more people. Pascal, thanks for rubbing off on us today. All that
You're welcome.
amazing joy and fun and energy. It's very contagious. So please keep sharing. We're
Thank you.
excited to follow your journey and we're excited to have you in Stall High as well.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. If you have questions, download the Stall High app. That's the easiest way we can help you. And from there, just contact us. If not, we'll see you again next Tuesday. Everybody be blessed.